Come in. Oh,
Hello, Joseph, is it?
hi, Dr. Zapata. Yes, Joe. How are you?
I'm well. What seems to be the problem, Joe?
Well, I'm having difficulty drawing from imagination.
Oh, Joseph, just so you know, that's totally normal. Why don't you tell me a little more about your problem? Is it that you can only draw from imagination if you're completely alone?
Doc, I can't ever draw from imagination.
What about if you're completely relaxed?
When I'm totally relaxed, I can't imagine a thing.
I see. Joseph, it's important to know that even with severe cases like this, there's always hope. I can prescribe an experimental therapy called Form from Imagination.
Form from imagination?
It's early days, but clinical trials are extremely promising. Why don't you try this for 6 months and then check back in with me?
Okay, I'll do whatever it takes. Did you just draw this?
Oh yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. Hey, Doc, do you ever have trouble drawing from imagination?
Oh no.
You wouldn't. I mean, you drew this.
That's right.
Wow.
Form from Imagination is an experimental therapy and is not yet approved for use by the FDA. Do not use Form from Imagination if you are already taking any prescriptions for drawing from reference, working side size, or tracing photos you didn't even take. Stop taking Form from Imagination if you experience any of these side effects: loss of interest in your personal projects, megalomaniacal self-confidence, hallucinations, unless they're the kind you're hoping for, drawing better than Steven Zapata, or feelings that purchasing the course was enough and you don't really need to do the exercises. Call your doctor if you have stiff gestures, flat forms, or boring ideas to address a possible life-threatening condition. Full sketchbooks have been reported with Form from Imagination and medicines like it. Other risks include long-term art careers, too many clients, and being worth more than you're charging for. Call your doctor today and ask about Form from Imagination. Again, we're alive. We are alive. Whoop! What's up? What is up? It's time to draw, it's time to work, it's time to make. All this talking, I see a lot of talking in the chat from Kips, Baron George Von, Boglemdorf, from Milky Rich, from Alpha Channel, from Timo's F, from Daniel Davis, from I Don't Know White Ya, from Daniel T, from Kips, from It Is What It Is, from Cyan Knight, from I Don't Know White Ya, from Gadravart. From all of y'all, Paul Roche, Melvin Wells, all of you, a lot of talking. A lot of chatting in the chat. Sure about that? Why don't you think it through? Maybe you should be drawing right now, like me. Maybe every now and then. Maybe you should have your paper out in front of you. Stylus, pencil, whatever in hand. And while I serenade you with the sweet sounds of my storied success, you should be drawing. At least that's what you do if you were smart. Boom! Free concentration juice. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Stephen, you better not have copy pasted those hooded monk statues. I will be onto your union. Look, What you gotta understand is that there's a time for everything under the sun. Everything has its season, and this is the season of copy pasting monks. And the fact that you don't understand that is just another prime example of why I'm on top and you're not. Oh no, and I was doing that on the monk layer. Unbelievably appropriate. What more else? What do I really need to do here? Let me get rid of this. What layer is this coming from? Why is that in there? How'd that get in there? Thank you, Mel. It is way harder to draw without you ranting about anime girls. I'm an addiction. I'm an addiction. My inspiring words, my glorious countenance, my incredible world-class crooner's voice. I mean, I am straight up an addiction. Very soon, very, very soon. And when I say soon, I mean very, very soon. You will be completely unable to draw without me in your ear, lulling you into a sense of peace and deep, deep creativity. And the worst part is, once you've reached that point, you'll be so glad that it happened. There won't even be any room left in your mind to hate me for it. It'll all be me living rent-free in your head. The popular internet psychologists and therapists who pretend to be real psychologists and therapists have started calling this a hyper-normal relationship, because it defines the norm for what a healthy relationship should be. It's a relationship where you never ever say anything to me or impinge on my life at all, not even for a second, but I define the entire quality and character of your life, and you believe that we are true friends. And you tell people about me, you won't stop talking to your parents about me, you're at parties, you're like, oh my God, have you ever heard of Steven Zapata? Dude, let me tell you about him. Yeah, a hyper-normal relationship. Look it up, look it up. Steven is my best virtual friend. That's right. And pretty soon I'll be your best real friend. You'll be like, how can he be my best real friend when I don't know him? It's like, you're just going to readjust your expectations for what real is. You know, you're going to be like, well, I've never seen Steven in person. I've never spoken to him one-on-one. He doesn't know who I am or that I exist. And yet, he's helped me more than anybody. I think about him more than anybody else. And I feel like he's taking care of me, even when he doesn't know who I am. Now, that's real. What's more real? My friends who I can only barely tolerate, but who happen to have their flesh sacks near me? Or is real friendship Steven, who may not know I exist, but helps me day in and day out and soothes my creative angst? I think when you put it that way, the answer's pretty obvious. You just need to readjust your expectations. Gotta get these trees out of the way. Gotta tuck those trees far away. Apologies for how often you've asked this, but since you are aware of my progress, do you have any general tips as I approach learning anatomy? Can't really get a teacher anywhere, so it's up to me. It's hard to give general tips, Mel, I'll be honest. It's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing. As I said, you know, go from the middle out, and I do encourage learning the skeleton. So when I say the middle out, I mean the middle out. So start with like the skeleton and then lay, well, no, I gotta be careful about that because I don't mean do deep muscles. I think you should stick to the superficial muscles for the most part. But you do want to learn the skeleton, and then you want to start with the muscles at the core. So the abdomen, that is to say the front and the back. And then you want to expand out from there to the limbs, out to the hands and feet, and then the head. Besides that, just go slow. I don't know. I would recommend learning one muscle group at a time. Like, spend a few days just focused on the deltoid. Try to learn the deltoid in the most depth that you can. Then move on to the next muscle group, but try to focus on one at a time so that you can approach a serious level of depth. And always be drawing complete figures to be tying it all together. Don't just do details of what you're studying at the time. Never forget to keep drawing full figures. You've got to have the context in mind for how you're going to string this all together, you know. It is what it is, says, I love your spiritual approach to art. Well, you know, I'm very glad that you feel that way. It's not, I wouldn't call it my spiritual approach to art. You know, it's just that I think what you're feeling is that you agree that art is spiritual. You know, my approach is not, it's not my approach. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? It's like, I'm just speaking what I really feel about the spiritual things that I experience in art, but it's not my approach. It's just I think the approach of anybody who agrees that there is a spiritual aspect to art. I think that's what you're resonating with. You're connecting with the sort of matter-of-fact spiritual quality of engaging your internal creativity. Hola, Francesco. How's it going? Hi, Steven. I love your attitude towards drawing, says Sanjay B, by the way. I was wondering if you'd ever consider doing interviews or something with other artists. I would love to see an interview with you and Cesar Santos. I would definitely consider it. I just don't have that geared up quite yet, but I would absolutely consider it. I would totally do it. I just haven't, you know, made a place for it quite yet in the cycle of my work and production. I'll be honest though, I would be less interested these days in conversations with people who agree with me on what's going on with art. I think I'd rather argue with some people. I think I'd rather have some arguments. Notice I didn't use the word debate, because artists are not great debaters. It would be an argument. It would be a petulant, childish argument. This is for Paradise Lost? No, this is for Drawing Ascendant. No spoilers. I guess let me do these. I have some of the trees done, so I might as well do all of the trees. And then do this main architecture back here. All right. Did you ever have to drop a particular way of drawing or focus on another aspect you don't enjoy for the sake of the end product? All the time. That's what work is. Most of the art jobs you get, most of the gigs you get, you, well, actually I should be careful. If you're a designer, most of the jobs that you get they're not asking you to draw the stuff you like to draw in the way you like to draw stuff. You're needing to be a chameleon and transform and draw something you've never drawn before and probably don't have any great affinity for, you know? That's more what you wind up doing. If you're an illustrator, the situation might be changed because if you're an illustrator, you might be getting hired for your style. So as long as you have based your style around what you actually like to do and not around what sells, then in that case, you might be getting hired for exclusively for the kinds of stuff you like to do. But if you're a designer like me, I'm a designer by trade, not really an illustrator. You spend most of your time readjusting your drawing focus and adapting to things you don't necessarily want to be drawing in ways that you don't want to be drawing them. Thank you, Janosch. How you doing, man? What's up, dude? If you haven't checked out Janusz's YouTube channel, go check out Janusz's YouTube channel. He's making a lot of videos lately about character design. Thank you, Janusz. That's very kind of you. How did you plan the values on this scene? Seems very complex. Looks so good. Not much in the way of planning. Just I've done enough shots like this and POVs like this that I can just kind of play it by ear. It's also very overall lighting because it's a concept that I'm hoping to hand off to someone. So I don't want to lose too much of the information into darkness or occlusion or anything like that. So it's lit pretty flatly, you know? Well, what do I mean by that? Like, there's clearly a direction to the light, right? Like, we've got one light source coming in for the right. We're getting dark core shadows in the middles of lots of forms. Then we're getting a kicker over on the left. But notice that that's not casting, like, really strong cast shadows across these big flat planes. We're not letting areas of crunchy detail like completely obscure into darkness or anything like that, which is a typical concept method if hard mood is not necessarily on the table. You know, you want to leave it all just kind of illuminated enough, which of course makes things look a little flat in general, so that when the next person looks at it or the modeler tries to model stuff off of it, they can actually see into everything and find a little bit of information everywhere. But I could always put a more elaborate value grouping over this overall flat value system, whereas it's a little bit harder to do that the other way, you know? Steven, my value groups while portrait drawing are clearly separated, but they still feel very clunky, unalive. Any practice or change of method you would recommend? I'm on digital. If the value groups are clearly separated, but they feel clunky, it's hard to say without looking at your work, but I would say it's probably that they're not communicating form. You know, if they feel clunky or unalive, it's because they're laying flat. And if they're laying flat, that means that they're not communicating a structure. You know, they've just sort of become an abstraction, and an unpretty abstraction at that. And the easiest way to fix that is to make sure that they are actually generating a three-dimensional form that actually feels like part of the head, that makes them feel alive and implies that the lighting on them is correct and that they have a clear value group and that they're respecting the modeling factors, et cetera, et cetera. And dude, if you're like, what are modeling factors? You know, how do I make these things feel like three-dimensional forms? Maybe you should consider you get the course. Maybe you should consider you get the course. Maybe you should consider that the course contains a detailed discussion of all 12 modeling factors. and that the course explains diffuse reflection, speculative reflection, the nature of three-dimensional forms in space, how to control the modeling factors when you're making them up from your mind. And tips for how to be both strict with yourself and also how to be intuitive and let things go. And just draw happily. You get the course. That's you drink the course. The course is in a jug. The course is shipped to you in a jug, a large jug, like some sort of like antifreeze for your car. The course glows purple with a strange, garish light. You get the course. You wait until your home is empty. You unscrew the top from the course and you... The rest, it writes itself. I mean, how do you think I made this? Huh? How do you think I made it? It's because I got the course. And the results, they speak for themselves, man. The results, they speak for themselves. Oh, I just noticed that my flesh tone and my shirt kind of are the color group of the gradient map. Look at that. I'm like a warm peaches color and navy blue. I'm the same color as the gradient map, man. Look at that. That's awesome. Quality is undeniable. Oh, let me fix that tangent. Let me just pull that out bigger. In fact, I'll slide this over. That makes me slightly happier. That's how you drink it. That's how you drink the course. It's that simple. It's that simple. Steve, what's dignity? Look, I don't know how to say what dignity is, but I know it when I see it. And you've got to maintain it. You've got to maintain your dignity. As you've seen on this stream, I prioritize maintaining my dignity. I'm always very straight-laced, you know. I don't do anything untoward. I'm always carefully pruning my image, being consistent brand-wise. You got to maintain your dignity. I'm just curious, Stephen, but did you ever draw under the influence of drugs? Yeah, once or twice, but never never to any useful end or anything like that. I find I don't find it a useful tool. It's for me personally, I just find it distracting, you know, and I don't know. I guess I'd never tried it until after I had achieved some fluency with drawing. So for me, at my current level and for some time before now, drawing already feels very smooth, you know, a controlled process generally. Well, not controlled, but there's not a lot of friction in the drawing process for me. And I feel very free to explore ideas and to sort of shift and morph from one thing to another. So the psychedelic feeling's kind of already there. So having, you know, the cloudy-headedness and the, you know, energies of other drugs being in the system, I found it to be more of a distraction than anything else. So I never made a habit of it. Do you have a rule or something to not zoom too much for little details, knowing that you will lose them while zooming out? Not a rule. I mean, especially not if I'm just doing my own stuff. I try to be very careful about that when doing client work, because it's just time wasted and you're on the clock. But when I'm doing stuff that's truly just for me, I actually try not to control myself with any rules or anything like that. If my heart in that moment wants me to get lost in details, I want to let my heart do that. You know, it's either that I have nothing to prove to myself, or that I have already proved to myself enough throughout my life that at this point I'm happy to just let my desires play like a little kid. So if I want to get lost in details, you know what, Steven? Life is hard and joy is rare. Go ahead and get lost in details. Do I have unrealistic expectations about that? No, I have professional expectations about that. I know that if I get lost in details, it might not be contributing to the big read of the picture, which that's another discussion. Do I even prioritize the big read of the picture? Is that truly the end-all be-all of composition? We could discuss that later. But yeah, I know that it's not necessarily contributing ideally to that situation. And I'm willing to kill my darlings. If I spend a day doing details, if I really care about the picture and I come back the next day and with my professional eyes see that the details didn't contribute, I'll delete them. I don't care. I'll repaint them. I'll simplify. It doesn't matter. But I want to have the freedom to just do whatever I want with a picture moment to moment. And I prioritize that, you know. This is long haul stuff, you know. You've got to let yourself off the chain every now and then. You've got to let yourself just run free, or else you're going to make yourself crazy, you know. It's very easy to make drawing and painting boring, unbelievably boring, bored to death, tears streaming from your face, hate drawing and painting if you let yourself accrue all of these goddamn rules like barnacles on a ship. It is very easy to find after a few years that these rules that give you good results also, weirdly enough, don't happen to align with your natural human temperament as an artist, and before you know it, you hate drawing and painting. And you don't even realize that there's doors that you can undo, or there's things you can undo, different doors that you closed for the sake of professionalism that you can reopen that would make you happy with drawing again, because you're caught up in this feeling of like, but that's what makes the pictures good, so I have to do that over and over again, right? It's like wrong, wrong, wrong. It's just, be careful. I had a whole argument with myself about how fundamentals don't exist because there's art out there that can't be done using them. Yeah, there's a masterpiece out there, many masterpieces out there that break each fundamental. Also, they can't exist because nothing exists. Steve, what's your opinion on copying specific art by a favorite artist for educational purposes? It's great. What do you mean, my opinion? I mean, you got it right in. You got it right in there. Educational purposes. Like, what could be wrong with doing something like that for educational purposes? It's always good to educate yourself. Also, I admire your skill to respond to chat while doing this. Everybody, let's say it together. Israel Teixeira, you have excellent taste. Israel, I don't know if anyone's ever told you this before, but you have a discerning eye for judging who are the most talented individuals on the planet, and no one can ever take that away from you. You have excellent taste, Israel. You have excellent taste. You think it is really useful, helpful? Yeah, absolutely. I've copied tons of art throughout my life. I've done fast master studies, exact master studies that have taken weeks. I've done all sorts of studies. It's a great way to learn some stuff even when you're like at your most burnt out and tired. Because you're just looking at something that's already done and designed for you, and you're just analyzing it. Even if you don't Even if you don't copy it, it's really useful even to just like pull it into Photoshop or pull it up as a something that you can mark it up with. So even if you use like the notes function on your phone, just pull it into a program where you can make some notes on it and just analyze it, you know? Try to explain to your sister why the picture works, you know? Putting yourself through that exercise will make you realize things about the painting that you didn't even know you realized, you know? Hey Steven, what's your favorite food? Probably Thai food. Love a tofu drunken noodle, man. Or pad see ew, all of it really. Green curry with tofu, oh god. Oh no, I'm getting hungry. Dinner time is not far away. See if the value groups are being treated nicely by the gradient map there. Yeah, that's all right. What I'm looking for from my gradient map in these situations is that it gives me a little warm-cool variety between conspicuous parts of the drawing. So for example, I like what's going on with this tree when I put the gradient map over it, because the foliage bits group down cool. You can see that they're bluer, and the value range for the wood groups up warm. It looks generally pinker. So it's giving me like a logical warm cool separation between the local value groups. And you can see that that's happening a bit here. A little warmer there, cooler overall for the foliage. We just gotta try to maintain that as we add a little bit more information. And you just fix it by, you know, painting using different values in the black and white until you get the result that you want. Can you draw after eating? I feel really sleepy. I can always draw. There's no stopping me. I can draw tired. I can draw full. I can draw distracted. I can draw angry. I can draw sad. I can draw screaming. I can draw while petting my dog. I can draw while streaming. I can draw while being the most entertaining person you've ever seen on the internet. I'm still drawing. Nothing can stop me. I'm unstoppable. I'm the definition of unstoppability. I'll never stop. Nothing can stop me. I'm the best. The best. Under the water, easy. Easy. It was actually, it'd be so easy to draw underwater that it was beneath my notice for the list of incredible ways that I can draw. It'd be effortless. Forget underwater. I could draw, now I'm not a cave diver, right? I'm not like one of those people who goes 120 feet scuba diving down in a deep cave, some sort of devil's silo hidden at the end of a labyrinth of miles longs of cave structures. I'm not a cave diver like that, but if I was, I'd bring my whole setup, iMac, Huion Kamvas 24 4K Pro Edition, all of my monitors, Wi-Fi stream setup, I'd do it all in, no problem. I'd be streaming exactly the way I am now from the bottom of that 200-foot deep devil's hole. No sweat. In fact, I'd do my best drawing ever. I'd do my best drawing ever. I'd be like, you have no idea what I'm capable of. You have no idea. A few weeks ago, you mentioned how you love watercolors. I'd really like to get into the medium, but new to traditional painting. Do you know any good resources? I actually, I have not watched any watercolor resources. I just started using them and have just tried to figure them out on my own. They're pretty direct, but the thing is that I don't try to do finished artwork with them. I use them for sketching and stuff like that, so... Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know a lot of resources, and I'm definitely not your guy if you're trying to do finished artwork with them. I sketch with them and things like that, use them to generate ideas. They're so direct, you know? It's just like, all you've got is water and a couple colors, and do you need it wetter or drier? And just use more water, you know? If I could give you a tip from personal experience, I would say if you're frustrated by the flow of your watercolors, use a much bigger brush. A much bigger brush than you would think you would want to use. Because the flow of the color is really dependent on how much water is held within the bristles of the brush. So if you get a really thick brush, right? And a lot of the really thick ones, they still taper to a nice point if you pay a lot for them. That'll fix your flow problem because there's a huge pool of water sitting inside of the belly of the brush. Let's just do a real ellipse. Thank you, Gemel. You're very kind. You're very kind, Gemel. You're very kind, Camel, but your kindness will be your downfall. Will you be able to kind your way out of the destruction that I have planned for you? Do you sometimes challenge yourself to draw paint a full piece in one layer? No. Not in digital. I already do that when I draw in pencil. I feel no need to put a random rule on myself like that. It also always makes paintings look worse. A painting never looks better for being done on one layer. You could always find a spot in there, and the person's like, I did it all on one layer, and you're like, that's cute. It really would have been nice if you used a layer for this hard edge right here, because it looks sloppy as hell. If I'm doing something on one layer, it's not out of a challenge, it's out of laziness. It's out of pure laziness to break up the layers. Steven versus AI art. Who will win? Yikes. It's me, though. It depends. Is it just the art, or do I get to plead my case before the audience? I'll charm your pants off. I don't think the AI is ready for it. Steven, do you think an iPad feels like drawing on paper? Like, can you tip the pen and use the side of the lead and such? You can use the side of the lead. How much you would actually want to do that really depends on how well the brush you're using is designed in the program you're using. I find I almost never do it. A lot of the brushes that I use do have the capabilities for that, but it's like, it's just annoying enough for just little enough payoff that I just don't do it, you know? It's like, if I'm really relying on that effect so much, I'd rather just go get a pencil and do it by hand. I let digital be digital when I use digital. And that's maybe a privilege because I rock at pencil. Maybe that's like a privilege that I have, so I don't really feel the need to make digital look like traditional. But I really think a lot of people who are trying to get a traditional look out of digital, it's just because they've never tried traditional in a serious way. It's like, you'd be surprised how intuitive and serious it is. It is very intuitive. I would say it's easier than digital in many respects, especially if you're the kind of artist who likes texture and noise and things like that. Huion giving me that lag. Man, it's brutal. Don't like that. Steven, what do you think about traditional paintings that look digital? I'm not sure I can think of one off the top of my head. Don't think I've ever seen one, or I can't remember one right now, but I would have nothing against it on principle. I bet it probably looks pretty cool. Any composition tips for beginners? I find it super overwhelming and I don't know where to start. Big clear shapes in abstract are probably the best place to start. But I think one of the most important things a beginner can do is not practice composition abstractly. Like there's very little useful to say about composition divorced from a particular story, prompt, message, or assignment. You should practice composition as often as you can with a reason in mind. I would be very cautious about just abstract, like we're learning composition as a fundamental, and we're figuring it out on its own. That's not really a thing. Composition isn't a fundamental. Composition is what you do with all of the elements of art. Composition is just another word for picture making. It's not the beginning of something, it's the end. It contains everything. So do it to a prompt. Do it for a reason, or else you're barking up the wrong tree. Oh, that's really interesting. Hadn't thought of it that way. I guess I got a bit tunnel visioned because I felt like my comps and art in general feel so boring to me. Yeah, it's gonna get boring if you get caught up dealing with the art abstractly, like asking only technical questions, being like, thinking, oh, the composition's bad. How do I fix it? Oh, the golden ratio makes pictures look good. Shiv everything into golden ratio. You only need to make 3 pictures to the golden ratio before you never want to make art again. So it's very easy to let things get boring if that's how you're going to think. If you focus on, like I said, you do everything to an assignment, to a prompt, to a reason, that's going to automatically make you think of, well, what reason's good enough for me? Why do I care? Why am I doing this? And in there, you'll be dealing with the real stuff of art, and you'll find things that excite you, you know? If you're finding your art boring, don't forget, unless you're doing it for a job, but if you're practicing on your own, if your art is boring you, it's like, it's you boring yourself, right? Like, it's you drinking the Kool-Aid to do the boring idea or to put the thing in your portfolio that everyone says is supposed to be in your portfolio, but you don't actually care about. It's like, you're boring yourself. So pick something more exciting. Hey Steven, just curious, did you ever do any of the concept work for Elder Scrolls Online in pencil? I don't think so. But when they interviewed me, all they wanted to talk about was my pencil work, which I thought was kind of surprising. But it was a very short interview. It just so happens that's the only art we talked about. But no, I'm pretty sure I did everything digital. Just making my navigator better. I mean bigger, so that I can, since I'm doing mostly smaller, finicky stuff, I'm just making the navigator bigger so I can see how it's affecting the overall read right at a glance under my palm. Ooh, the best adult dating site. Best adult dating site is here. Thumbs up. Kissy face. Oh yeah. Yes, muy stilifste. Muy stilifste? You're on the right track. Now you got it. That's the way to go. Did you have problems with Kamvas screen getting red? I had to send back the first one that I got because it had a big orange light bloom in the bottom left corner. This one has a little bit of it, but it's within tolerances. First one though was just a very defined shape, and I found it very distracting. This one's more diffused, so I'm okay with it. You know, light bleed on monitors like this is you're gonna get it, you know. It's not like it's an Apple monitor, you know, where they actually make it good. And I've never gotten one that had a dead pixel or light bleed or anything like that. You're not gonna get that. You want that, you gotta go to Apple. Still use Procreate sometimes. I haven't been drawing on my iPad much, just because I've been streaming so much. Been drawing here on the Kamvas because, you know, I can stream from my desktop. Can't stream from the iPad, that sucks. You can, it's just obviously I don't have as much control. It's not as comfortable as doing it from my desktop. But you can do it. I've streamed on the iPad a few times. If you go back in the archives, there's a few streams done from the iPad on here. It's just, yeah, usually if I'm sitting down in one spot to draw for like 2 to 4 hours, which is the case when I'm streaming, just staying put for a while and working away. In most of those contexts, I'd rather just be using my full Photoshop setup where I can do file management and, you know, just have the full flexibility. Did you watch Spider-Verse? Everything involving art in that movie is amazing. Oh yeah. Liked it a lot. is the only way to get faster experience. It's the most reliable way. You can get faster by making process adjustments, you know, but the thing is that if you're going to do that, you're introducing a lot of other variables. Like, do you like the new process that you're doing to get faster? Because if you don't like the process, well, it might make you faster to deliver this particular gig, but it's not sustainable if you're not going to enjoy it, you know? Happy drawing, Daryl. Happy drawing. Also, sorry for asking so many questions. It's no problem. But you know that you've already helped me so much. Oh, I'm very glad to hear that. I've hit a bit of a slump, but couldn't figure out why exactly. Oh, well, you know, we try to help around here. We try to help. Turns out I'm boring the ever-loving crap out of myself. Yeah, don't worry. You're in good company. Something artists do all the time. All the time. We love to bore ourselves. I think it comes deep down from not trusting ourselves. I think that's an archetypal challenge that artists need to go through. And if they really want to push through to the other side of the art practice, they all need to face that and overcome it. I think not trusting ourselves is what produces these false beliefs that make us bore ourselves, because we lose touch, we lose faith in ourselves and what we like and what excites us. And we tell ourselves that the only thing we can trust, that what we should be doing, is what other people tell us to do. And before you know it, you're bored. You're bored. Oh, you're so bored. Oh, look at him, Mommy. He's so bored. Can we take him home? No, honey. We have enough bored artists at home. Now put him down and let's go get you some ice cream. Oh, okay, Mom. I hate you, Mom. What did you say? I hate you, Mom. You hate me? You hate me? That's so easy to say, isn't it? So easy to say that. Oh, I hate you, Mom. You have no idea what I've given for you. You couldn't begin to fathom what I've sacrificed to give you everything that you have. But you just so flippantly say, you hate me. ever interested in a career as an actor? I mean, there were some people who tried to talk me into it back in college. And I had a couple friends who went into it. Not in college, in high school. And I had a couple friends who went into it, but I never really took it seriously, no. It was science or art for me. I wanted to be there was a period there where I wanted to be a theoretical physicist. Like you could just be that. Youth. And then when I learned what you would need to do to be a theoretical physicist, I was like, my God, I think I'll risk it with art. That seems more likely to be a professional artist. Dude, I feel that. I wanted to be an astrophysicist, but my brain was too smooth for that. Yeah. I mean, what did it for me was I got put in this mentorship program early on in high school for people who really wanted to go into the sciences and who had some, aptitude there. And once I was in that program and I was really talking with people who actually did it, was like picking their brains on like what their life was like and what the job was like, I realized that I was really just more interested in talking about science than doing science. So I feel very lucky that at that early point it was clear to me that I would not enjoy the actual day-to-day of the job. And then I made the reverse decision that everybody else makes. I literally chose at that point. Well, obviously, art is a more realistic career, and I can always do science on the side as a hobby. That's actually what I told myself. I work at a Math C profession now, and it really annoys me when people down talk art. It's way harder in my opinion. Don't put your brain down. Art is top tier difficult. Yeah, I'm not trying to put myself down. Like I hope that wasn't what I was implying. It's more just that I was clear the day to day would not be enjoyable for me, you know. you know, it may just be a symptom of the fact that I've always believed in myself, but I'm sure I would have got there. You know, if I had decided that was it for me, I would have taken very seriously learning all the maths and stuff. But just at that point, and when push came to shove, it was just for my temperament, it didn't seem to line up. Yeah, it's more an attitude thing than an aptitude thing, I would say. Whoop, don't crash. Don't crash. Nice, nice, nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. Very nice. It's nice to have y'all here. Good to have company while drawing. We're all just riding out the AI art apocalypse together. Laying low in our little human enclaves. Waiting for this all to pass. What's your canvas size? This is pretty big. This is 9,000 pixels across right now. Could easily be bigger though. I wanted to ask, I've been really wanting to draw more detailed full scenes, but I've been holding back because I think I'm not good enough for that yet. Should I just dive in now? You bet you should. You should go for it. You should truly just go for it. Oh, why is my monetization off? That's weird. Well, well, well. It's interesting. Are there any underrated craftsmen from the past that you'd like to share? Craftsmen? I mean, artists in general? No, I would say all the ones that I would share were pretty rated. They were pretty well rated. Let me think. Underrated. I think almost by... I don't think I'm super up on like deep cuts from art history, unfortunately. I think there's a bit of a filter there where it's like, if you're hearing about them, it's because it's known they were a great, you know, history has sort of filtered them out. Filtered it down to the best. I'm also pretty bad with names of these things. I need to like look through my files. Look for people that I've saved and Google their names. Or do some reverse image searches. That's right, we're not supposed to talk about bread. Forgot about that. Easy now. so neurotic. Jesus. Question, do most people actually understand how bread is made? Have you ever tried making bread? What are we talking about? Oh, that made me laugh. I'm completely lost in the sauce. I don't know what, I forget what metaphor we're working with here. If you're asking me if I've ever made AI art, I have not. Well, I mean, except for like that recent TikTok filter that let you do an AI prompt. I tried that. But like Midjourney or Dolly or anything like that, I have not tried them. But I've watched a lot of videos on them, like how to use them videos and things like that for know thy enemy purposes. Sam Lamb with the incredible $10. Sam, you really don't need to be doing that. You know that. But I appreciate your $10. Let me honor you with the song. Sam, beautiful lamb, Sam I am, but Sam he is. Donating $10, number one fan. A leaping peach, out for a run, winning the race for glorious Sam. He's Sam the lamb, and Sam I am with the $10, and he's the number one fan. Yeah. Thanks, Sam. Donations are non-refundable, Sam. Non-refundable. For legal purposes, the donations must be non-refundable. Hello, Arsene Light. AR has been out and already looks like AI art. Yeah, well, it's changing pretty quickly, in my personal opinion. It's improving quickly. Thank you, Sam. Good to see you, buddy. I mean, actually coded up some bread. No, I don't think. I think there's very few people who have tried to code any bread. I feel a lot of the fear about it comes from people thinking the tech is way more flexible and clever than it really is. I don't think that's the fear. I think people understand it has limitations now. I think the fear comes from a bit of human experience with seeing that our technology improves much quicker than we tend to be able to predict, and that almost invariably everything that we say is, unlikely or it could never be that good. We do that. We get there. I think that's what it is. I don't think anyone is under the illusion that the current versions are the end-all be-all. It's just that people are projecting into the future, and things will change. Things will change. And it's so, honestly, and you know, people who work in AI or something like that are gonna, might get upset with me, but it's like even if you work on these things or you help make these things, it's like almost no one's in a position to say what will or will not happen, because it's such a cutting edge thing that, just like all technology, it's going to get pushed forward by eureka moments that are often in the hands of a handful of people. And when they do it, we'll be like, oh, didn't know that was possible. And then we'll all be living in that future. That's how all stuff like this goes. And I think that it's the unknowable quality of that produces the worry and the fear. I don't think anyone's worried about Midjourney. You know, I'm not worried about Midjourney. I'm not worried about DALL-E. I'm worried about 20 down the road. That's what I'm worried about. But even saying that probably means I should worry about Midjourney. Will you be doing that for every donation or yes? I don't know. If your name is very singable, I'll do it. Let's just say that I don't take drawing requests for money, but I'm much more open for business when it comes to my singing. That's a talent I'm happy to pass around. I really want to learn to use stuff like DALL-E and Midjourney to my advantage, because I do feel like I'll be left behind if I don't. Go for it. Try it out, man. There's no rules, except don't steal. That's a rule you'll probably want to obey, because otherwise you'll go to prison. But go for it. Try things. Experiment. Try DALL-E, try Midjourney, try them all. I don't begrudge anybody finding a way to make an art career in any way that they can. It's basically a personal miracle every time it happens. So if you want it, use all the tools to your advantage. Don't rob people. Goodbye, Svensk Art. Hello, Corey. How are you? I'm doing all right today. I am doing a-okay. Not gonna lie, starting to get a little hungry. It's a little past my usual dinner time here. Starting to get a little hungry. I mean, just these new systems are basically just scaled up NNs. I'm going to assume that's neural networks. There have been data engineering innovations, but no AI innovations recently. I agree with you. I just think the timeline is longer. Yeah. Yeah, I also think the name is a little bit of a misnomer at this point. It's really more of like a novel variations generator. That's what they are at this point. It's a bit much to call them artificial intelligences, I think. But what's in a name? What's in a name? What's in a name? Would Steven Zapata by any other name not remain the greatest, most significant artist in the history of the world and in the history of art? Would he not still usher in golden ages of art for all of time? When do you know a composition works for you? I know it might be a gut feeling at this point, but maybe there are some criteria to share. It's when it communicates the main necessity of the picture. That's it. The difficult part is that you need to know what the actual main necessity is, you know? You've got to put things into a priority list, and you've got to know what your priority is. If the composition does that, it's working. If the most important thing, if the number one priority is that the mood of the moment be expressed, then everything else can be destroyed. And if the composition communicates the mood, you're good here. We're done, right? Like the need of this one is to communicate the layout of the space. So all of the compositional choices are based on that. So there's no deep pockets of shadow. It's just flattish lighting that lets you see this is behind that, this is in front of this is where this is on the floor. And it's an extremely wide lens. So you can see down that way. Whoops. You can see down that way, you can see down this axis, which lets you feel the floor plan is like this big T shape. Lets you see a little bit about what's outside of the structure. It's like all the compositional decisions are based on what fulfills the requirements. Hello, Purple Ronin. Any sketchbook exercises to practice getting the mood across in a composition? There's all sorts of things you would do. I would make a folder of if there's a particular mood you're going for a particular picture, which is generally how I think you should think of these things. Make a folder where you grab paintings or screenshots from movies that have that particular mood as best as you can tell. And over your morning coffee or something like that, just do little 1.5 to 2 inch wide copies of them and see if you can capture the mood that they did using the simplest elements. And then once you've got it, do your picture, see if you can get that feeling in there, then move on to the next picture and make another folder for that mood and do it again. Rinse, dry, repeat. What is a good movie with a good lot of moods? No. You're thinking the wrong way. The mood that you want for the picture that you are working on. You go for that one mood and you look for a movie that you've seen that has that mood in it in a good way. Not abstract. Not, oh, every mood. I want to get good at every mood. That's nothing. You'll forget it all. It won't do anything. It won't improve your mood abilities in the way that you hope. Just one specific picture at a time. One specific picture at a time. Steven, do you have any art book recommendations for atmosphere, mood, storytelling? There's very few good instructional books on that. The only two I can think of are Color and Light by Gurney, James Gurney. And that's atmosphere and mood. Well, that's like the scientific part of atmosphere and mood. That's like understanding color and stuff like that. And probably Framed Ink by Marcos Mateo Mestre. Framed Ink is very good. There's not that many books on that subject because it's a hard thing to abstract, like I said. It's more about finding solutions for individual pictures. Who is Marcos Mateos? Is that the telenovela person? No. He's a storyboard artist who wrote Framed Ink. Have you ever worked from super light to full buildup? Technically, I'm doing that every time I work in pencil. I'm starting with the white of the paper and trying to get the full value range out of it. Steven, have you ever worked with a brush pen, Chinese brush? Yep. I've done a lot of ink in my life. Everybody hold on a minute, all right? I gotta feed my dog. She's very hungry. Hi, Joe. What up? All right, these guys in the background. Let's do these very simply. Let's not get very descriptive with them. I think we got descriptive enough with the ones here in the foreground. So you do both character and environment design? Yeah, there's no barriers for me. I do a little bit of everything. Most of my professional work has been environmental stuff. The skill set that I'm demonstrating right now is an incredibly rare and desirable skill set. Very few people are comfortable sketching environments from their minds with no 3D underlay or anything like that. Environments that have architectural elements, multiple design elements, stuff that isn't just, you know, rocks and trees, stuff that can be any shape, things like that. Very rare to find people who are willing to sketch that and not have a panic attack. Very desirable skill set. I can't sleep right now, so I'm glad you're streaming so I can draw along and still feel like I'm being useful. I'm glad to be your drawing companion. To help you through a little bit of insomnia, for sure. That's what we do around here. You know, you got to remember, most of the people who are watching, they're drawing. They're using this for the same reason that you are. So, you are not alone. Uvo says, what? One would think you did mostly characters, figures based on your YouTube? Ah, one would think, but no. The stuff you see on my YouTube is but a small fraction of my output. Do you have a favorite environmental project you have worked on? It's hard to say. I have different favorites for different kinds of stuff. Like, I have favorites for where, like, the project wasn't really my favorite, but the team was really good. It was, like, a really fun experience. I have other stuff that was, like, it was a really cool small thing. Other things were bigger, you know. Some things were more memorable than others. It was probably the Warner Brothers theme park in Abu Dhabi. That was just that was the biggest budget thing I ever did, so just for like having crazy ideas and having them actually get built, I think that's probably my favorite. It's just like at the biggest scale with the most possibilities and the biggest production. I don't really know what I want the ends of these things to be. How do you keep yourself from burning out? The number one most important thing. Do stuff that's fun. It's easy to not burn out when everything that you're doing is like, you sit down to do it and you're like, oh man, that'd be so cool. You know? It's also just like years of habit, you know? It's just so habituated at this point. Like, I don't even question it. I'm just like, yeah, I know I'm going to sit down and make art for at least, you know, a couple hours today, right? On a working day. And on most non-working days as well. Hey Stephen, I've been struggling with figure drawing. I've tried studying all types of methods like Loomis, Riley method, Bern Hogarth, Jack Ham, but nothing's really sticking. Any advice? Don't get caught up in the methods. It can create a feedback loop in your head where you're like, you think a method is really supposed to do it, and they're not. They can't. If there was just a method that worked for figure drawing, it wouldn't be one of the most sought after and rare skills in drawing, right? It's difficult to do and it's extremely complicated. So the methods are useful and each one teaches you a different fractal lens of figure drawing, but none of them are just like the end all be all solution. So don't get caught up with them. And like I said, it can create a feedback loop if you do, where you're like, oh, the method's not working. The method's supposed to work. Am I stupid because the method's not working? What's wrong with me? What's the right method? It's like once you start going down that rabbit hole, it's time to pull back. Just forget all the methods, forget all the rules. You need to create a space where everything that you've learned can come out subconsciously. So close all the books, put all the reference PDFs away. Stop drawing the Riley construction lines. You've done enough of that for now. You can go back to it and just draw freely and let it come up on its own. And that's it. And do that for a bit and see what comes out. See what naturally comes out. Because first and foremost, it's supposed to be intuitive. You're not supposed to Riley rhythm all of your drawings for the rest of your life. At a certain point, you must just draw. Have you played the Elder Scrolls Online? I mean, to see and feel the concepts you created? Yeah. Yeah, you have to jump in there all the time while working on it. Because on any game, you have to jump in there all the time because you need to go take screenshots of stuff to draw over or things like that, or go research or feel a space. Like, how much room is there in here? Stuff like that. You have to go in the game all the time. Do you think keeping a sketchbook for environment practice is a good idea? Have this 5x12 book that's still empty? Of course it is. What do you mean, do I think it's a good idea? All practice is a good idea. If you're looking for permission to do that, you have my permission. Now, never ask anyone for permission ever again. Looking for a reference of what I can put at the end of these buttress things, because this is not something that actually happens, right? Buttresses are supposed to be holding something up, so there's a wall at the end of them. So I need to find some other architectural feature that tickles my fancy and stick it on there, because these are purely aesthetic. That could be good. Yeah, I could put like a little saint hole in there. I think I'm gonna get going soon, everybody, because I'm getting real hungry. I need time to cook, so keep going for a bit. Let me sketch what kind of thing I want at the end of these. No, I don't want it to get that crazy. Lo-Fi Sketches says I was definitely feeling that way. Yeah, it happens, you know. We really get caught up with the methods. No method is the one answer. You got to be willing to drop them. Steven, do you read manga? There's one about an art student and art struggles called Blue Period. I don't read manga, but I've heard of Blue Period. I think I saw some analysis video of it once, you know. You know, when you're in one of those moods on YouTube where you'll just watch anything, even stuff you have no idea about. It sounded interesting. But I don't really read manga. Well, forget manga. I don't really read comics. I was never a comics guy. Didn't really read them as a kid or anything like that. My art teachers actually had no idea what to do with me when I was coming up in high school too, because I like to draw like characters and figures and things like that, and none of them knew what at that time entertainment design, concept art, working for games and movies. It was not necessarily like an understood thing. It wasn't commonly known, so my art teachers, it wasn't on their radar, you know. And so I would tell them, like, you know, the kinds of stuff I would like to draw, and all they could think of was like, you should do comics. And I was like, but I don't like comics. I don't read comics, you know. I was just like, yeah, you know, I guess, but I never really took them seriously because it didn't give me the ring. I never felt like I want to be a comic book artist, you know. Let me put my rough guy in here. At least for those center ones, yeah, I think I want them to be these little saint holes tucked away up there. Just weird enough. Maybe it should be bigger if I'm gonna do that. Decisions, decisions, decisions. Thank you, Falls. Unfortunately, Falls, you're right on time for me to leave. I'm gonna leave soon because I'm getting pretty dang hungry. It's getting about dinner time. I'm feeling the need, but dinner is still cooking session away. So I got to get going. As usual, the problem presents itself that drawing is way too fun. And I am having trouble leaving. Classic. Thanks God you didn't started the mangaka's world, because we wouldn't be able to see your fantastic illustrations. Look, no matter what I'm doing, I would definitely wind up sharing my work. I mean, geez, if I'd just gone with the flow, I'd still be just doing design work for companies, and you can't see most of that. You know, it's all NDA. That was the most frustrating thing for me about client work, was that I'd be working my butt off for years. Like, I'd go 2 years of working really hard. And then at the end of it, I'd have nothing to show. It'd be like I wasn't alive for 2 years. You know? Be just like, oh yeah, I did that, but I couldn't show any of it, couldn't share any of it, no one could see my art. A very frustrating experience in many ways. All right. That one last best adult dating site visit lets me know that it's time for me to go. You know, I've put up with so much from best adult dating site. It's time for me to go to my foodie rest. Go have some food. There's a progress on this concept piece for today. And I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for drawing with me today. If you're going to draw, I hope that your drawings go very, very well. I hope that you're happy while you draw. Oh God, I just messed up my clock completely. Terrible. Let me call that 4 hours there. Look, remember, be careful out there. You never know where there's spiders. They're sneaky. They hide everywhere. They love pictures of bonobo monkeys. You know, you've got to watch out. If you have, the messed up thing is that spiders know if you have a photograph of a bonobo monkey, even in your backpack. And if they know it's there, they'll follow you everywhere. You'll be sitting at school, on the bus, at work, they'll start crawling up your leg, and then you're in big trouble. So best advice I could give you for your art career is avoid having any magazines on your person that have photographs of bonobo monkeys in them. Don't let your friends text you photographs of bonobo monkeys. And try not to wear shirts that have photographs of bonobo monkeys transfer printed onto them. Otherwise, it's going to be a very spidery day for you. Very spidery day. And big red ones. It's like really big red ones that come get you. If you avoid that, you're going to have a great day. All of your drawings are going to go fantastically. You're going to be a very happy person. And not just the drawings, you know. Your family is going to be extremely kind to you and usually understanding. All of your relationships are going to go fantastically. Your friends are going to be reminded why they're your friend. Your significant other is going to feel almost like the way they did like on your first date together. Like that sizzle is going to be back. So it's going to be a really, really good day for you in general. If you want to have even better days than that, you get the course. You get the course. I mean, the course is very good. It's exhaustive. There's a lot of people doing it. I'm very happy to have everybody sharing their work. I'm having a lot of fun doing feedback on the assignments. I am doing feedback on everybody's stuff, and it's been great. You know, the videos, great stuff on their own, huge amount of information. But at this point, the huge backlog of feedback that is getting collected in the community for the course is a huge value on its own. There's just so many, I've written a lot of information and recorded separate videos for people and made extra diagrams where, man, I thought I was getting detailed in the main course material. Once you add on the stuff that we're covering in the feedback, it's like, it's covering the minutia, man. It's exhaustive. Jam at Hampton says, what course? I'm glad you asked.